standing in the French capital, Paris, just at Place de la République, and the French President Emmanuel Macron has delivered a speech to the French people just minutes ago. The speech is important because it was the first speech that President Macron delivered after the fall of his government. The government was led by a centre-right Prime Minister, Michel Barnier, who lost the vote of confidence in the parliament. The vote resulted in a 331 to 577 against Michel Barnier, who eventually lost the vote, and his government stands toppled as of Wednesday. Today is Thursday. It's Thursday evening. President Macron has just spoken to the people, and there are a couple of key things to take away from his speech that I'm going to talk you through right now. The first thing that is important is the big question of who the next Prime Minister will be and when the next government will be appointed. Now, to quote Macron, he said that in the upcoming days, a next Prime Minister and government will be appointed. So the timeline is not clear, but he definitely said in the upcoming days, a new Prime Minister and government will be put in place. The second key takeaway is about the budget, over which the no confidence motion took place in the first place. As far as the budget is concerned, Macron said that a new budget is going to be introduced as of mid-December. Now, whether that budget is going to pass or not is of course the question in the air, and it can only be decided after a new government is put in place. So that of course also remains something to be seen. The third thing that President Macron talked about is his own tenure, which he promised he's going to serve till its end, and it ends in May of 2027. So that is the third thing that Macron talked about. Other than this, he also did not fail to take a dig at the far right as well as the left. And in saying that, he said that the right and the left got united, came together against the French Republic. He said that they undid rather than did something for the French Republic. So those are the main key takeaways from what President Emmanuel Macron has just spoken to in his televised speech to the nation for the first time after the fall of his government. The big question on who the Prime Minister is going to be still looms large, and it's going to be seen in the upcoming days as President Emmanuel Macron says who will take reins of the French government. This is Pariti Bhanot reporting for NDTV from Paris.
In other news, according to reports, Ukrainian President Zelensky's delegation met with senior representatives of the United States President-elect Donald Trump. The delegation met in Washington with Trump's choice for White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and his Ukraine ambassador Keith Kellogg. The meet is seen as an aim for Ukraine to build contacts with the incoming administration of Donald Trump, who has promised to end the war in Ukraine upon taking office. And in South Korea, the police are investigating President Yoon for allegedly insurrection over his short-lived declaration of martial law. Military officials have been questioned by MPs, and earlier President Yoon had accepted the resignation of the defense minister, who apologized for his role in Tuesday night's shock move that Yoon has not publicly spoken since an emergency vote in Parliament early on Wednesday forced him to reverse his decision and is under pressure to resign. And various of the buildings of South Korea's National Assembly's national flag there. I mean, of course, this is what has been taking place. South Koreans poured into the streets of central Seoul to protest against President Yoon for declaring martial law. Yoon is facing an impeachment vote following the stunning but brief imposition of martial law that brought armed troops into the streets of Seoul. The Democratic Party and other small opposition parties submitted a joint motion to impeach Yoon on Wednesday over his martial law declaration the previous time. And let's get to the latest from Georgia. And this is more than 300 people have been arrested since mass protests erupted in Georgia 6 nights ago. And an increasing number of accounts have emerged alleging violent attacks by the police. Demonstrations have continued every night since last Thursday after ruling party Georgian Dream said that it was halting the country's bid to start talks on joining the EU. Georgian Prime Minister has accused opposition politicians. These are the politicians who are being accused of orchestrating the violence, blaming them for the injuries. In an exclusive chat with NDTV, the German Consul General in Kolkata, Barbara Bose, has spoken about the progress of the Indo-German Partnership for Green and Sustainable Development. Now, this has been established in 2022 following the signing of the Indo-German Partnership for Green and Sustainable Development by Indian Prime Minister Modi and German Chancellor Scholz. This is a landmark partnership providing a framework for enhanced cooperation between India and Germany, aligning their efforts with the Sustainable Development Goals of the 2030 Agenda and the Paris Agreement.
The Indo-German Partnership for Green and Sustainable Development was signed between Prime Minister Modi and Chancellor Scholz. And of course, joining me now is the German Consul General in Kolkata. Ma'am, very quickly, this is an interesting, sort of partnership between two countries. And what are the areas that the GSDP is now really taken off? And if you could mention some of these projects that are making an impact.
Yeah, thank you very much. So you mentioned the right word already. It's a partnership, so it's not that one party is saying, okay, we do this and that, and the other is just following. So it's agreed, it was signed, as you said, by Prime Minister Modi and our Chancellor in 2022. And so then afterwards, like the Indian and the German side sat together and they agreed on the most important areas of cooperation and on the projects as well. And as I said as well, I mean, for us it is also very important to always mention that a lot of projects are happening as well in the 11 states here in the East and in the Far East that are under our jurisdiction of the German Consulate General. So that was the reason why as well it was important for us that we have the conversation series here today to make sure that 300 million people of India are also included in this partnership. And as you heard today, I mean, there's a lot going on, sustainability in agriculture, women empowerment, and a lot of areas where like crops are used, that are adapted to climate change, and that you use like less chemicals in agriculture. So these are all very important areas, and they suit, our area here because it's an agricultural area, and we would like to make sure that women can really earn their living on their own, and that changes not only their standing in the society, but it makes it as well easier for them to send their children to school if they earn money, and then you have this link to education and as well to livelihood. So, and that's what we are doing.
Absolutely. And, Prime Minister Modi on several occasions has also spoken about, Viksit Bharat 2047, which is India's developmental goals for 2047. And, gender is such an important part and conversation to have around green and sustainable development partnerships between India and Germany. So in that context, what was the conversation like, and where are we as far as those areas are concerned?
Yeah, I mean, we all agreed that there's still a lot to be done, but that a lot of things were achieved already, so which is always good to state. And then we agreed as well that we have to include all parts of society, so LGBTQI community is also very important to include, and it's very difficult for all of them to have access to loans. I mean, financing is very important, because if you want to start something or a small business, for example, you need to have some money in order to be able to start it. That was the reason why it was also important that KfW, our development bank, was represented, and as well GIZ, of course, the two implementing partners of German development cooperation. And I think this all goes hand in hand as well with UN Women. They are also a very important partner in our development cooperation. And I think this only works if we all work together, and everybody is like doing their part wherever they have their expertise.
And finally, one last question. There are concerns over meeting climate goals, or even the commitment to climate goals in some, some of the Western democracies as well. Germany and India have a very strong partnership. But do you see any sort of roadblocks, stumbling blocks anywhere?
Of course, I mean, the budget is always a problem. I mean, everywhere. Not only the discussions now in Baku, but as well loss and damage in Dubai. It's difficult to reach the goals that everybody says, or all the experts tell us, the money that we will need. This is a difficult time, of course. I mean, not only with a lot of crises around the world, but as well, I mean, with us, we have government crisis, we don't have a budget, and we have constraints as well with our economy. So a lot of challenges everywhere. But I think as well, especially in India, you know, I think we all agree that we can't, none of us can reach our goals without India. I mean, India is a very, very important player and an important partner. And that's the reason why we are also so happy that we have the GSDP with India. But I mean, of course, there are a lot of challenges ahead, and it won't be easy. But I mean, we all have to work for it, because I mean, we only have one world, and so it's in our common interest to do whatever we can. And we are very committed to reaching our goals, even though it will be difficult for us as well. And we don't blame anybody else that they can't do it, but the contrary is right. We would like to work together in order to achieve all our goals together.
Thank you so much for speaking to NDTV.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
In other news, Elon Musk's XAI has raised $6 billion in new capital, according to a regulatory filing wrapping up a funding round that has been in the works for months and was set to value the artificial intelligence startup at more than $40 billion. And a Boeing plea deal intended to resolve a case related to 2 fatal crashes of its planes has been rejected by a US judge. The plane maker agreed that the US government in July to plead guilty to 1 count of criminal fraud, face independent monitoring and pay a $243 million fine. However, Judge Reed O'Connor struck down the agreement on Thursday, saying it undermined the court and that diversity requirements for hiring the monitor were contradictory. And with that, we're slipping to a very short break. Back with a whole lot more on the other side. Just stay with us.
It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. He's the biggest name in the world of entertainment. He is the undisputed king of comedy. His name resonates everywhere. Meet the heartbeat of millions. Kapil Sharma. At the NDTV Indian of the Year Awards, 6 December 2024 on NDTV Network.
This week on India Ascends. Dhaka continues to descend into chaos. Time for New Delhi to think out of the box. Growth rate bummer. How India Inc. can bounce back. Why is Trump's dream crumbling? Are these just bad appointments or is something bigger at play? And the real K-drama unfurls in Seoul politics. Why South Korea's democracy is flawed. All this and more only on India Ascends with me, Gauri Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
Becoming a member of jury of NDTV was a totally different challenge altogether.
When you recognize contribution to society, these stories are inspiration for everyone who views them.
The NDTV Indian of the Year is an extremely important initiative.
Nominees were just extraordinary.
Each one of them is a rock star.
And the achievers in this field who are inspiration for the Indians in this country have been chosen for this prestigious award.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number 1 in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
Welcome back to NDTV World 24/7. Let's get you the latest in regard to the investigation that's going on into the shooting of the United Healthcare CEO. Now, Brian Thompson, who died due to that shootout that took place right outside his hotel in New York City. Now, new images have appeared. The department has released photographs showing a man wanted for questioning in connection with the killing. The words "deny and defend and depose" were written on shell casings recovered from the scene of the crime of the United Healthcare CEO. The police are still searching for the gunman who opened fire on Thompson on Wednesday morning outside that hotel in New York City. And let's get you some sports news now. And India and Australia go head-to-head in the second test at Adelaide with hitman. We're talking about Rohit Sharma back in the squad. Will India continue the momentum or will Australia bounce back is the big question.
An emphatic win for Team India. A deflating defeat for the Aussies at Perth. But the slate's been wiped clean as Adelaide prepares for the pink ball test. Australia with a stellar record of winning 11 out of the 12 pink ball tests here, while India's only loss in a day-night test being the one in Adelaide during the 2020-21 series when they got bowled out for 36 in the second innings.
You know, you are so used to playing with red ball and pink ball certainly does a little bit more than the red ball.
After missing the Perth test, the hitman is back, but he will not open as India look to continue the winning combination.
Yeah, he'll be opening the batting. I'll bat somewhere in the middle.
But where will the hitman bat?
There's no need to change that now. Maybe in the future things will be different. Personally, not easy, but for the team, yeah, it made a lot of sense.
While India looks settled, Australia will be looking to shake things up and look to bounce back. Scott Boland will be donning the baggy green after being called as a replacement for Josh Hazlewood. While it might come down to the fast bowlers once again under the lights, India will be hoping for the Bumrah factor to be the decider. The big question: will R. Ashwin make a comeback on the back of his solid record at Adelaide, or will Washington Sundar continue to keep his place? It's all set to be an epic battle between the two teams who are eyeing a place in the World Test Championship final. Bureau Report, NDTV.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps.
And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
And impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
from Maximum City, Mumbai.
To the seat of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here. It's a web of frauds, calls, luring emails, threatening messages. Cyber frauds have cast their net wide and everyone is at risk. We track the victims, their horror stories as they get conned online, extorted and robbed of their hard-earned money. How to identify a cyber fraud and how to stay cyber safe. What are your options? Fraud.con, NDTV initiative for cyber safety. Only on NDTV 24/7. He's the biggest name in the world of entertainment. He is the undisputed king of comedy. His name resonates everywhere. Meet the heartbeat of millions, Kapil Sharma. At the NDTV Indian of the Year Awards, 6 December 2024 on NDTV Network.
This week on India Ascends.
Dhaka continues to descend into chaos. Time for New Delhi to think out of the box. Growth rate bummer. How India Inc. can bounce back. Why is Trump's dream crumbling? Are these just bad appointments or is something bigger at play? And the real K-drama unfurls in Seoul politics. Why South Korea's democracy is flawed.
All this and more only on India Ascends with me, Gauri Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
Becoming a member of jury of NDTV was a totally different challenge altogether.
When you recognize contribution to society, these stories are inspiration for everyone who views them.
The NDTV Indian of the Year is an extremely important initiative.
Nominees were just extraordinary.
Each one of them is a rock star.
And the achievers in this field who are inspiration for the Indians in this country have been chosen for this prestigious award.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust. RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents NDTV Indian of the Year, powered by Raymond, co-powered by Gallant.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India.
A very good morning. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vaza. We have a whole lot lined up for you over the next 1 hour on the breakfast show, including AQI measures that are now finally in check, which is why the measures of Grab 4 and Grab 3 have been revoked by the Supreme Court. It is actor Allu Arjun who's been booked due to the stampede that resulted in the death of a 35-year-old woman at the premiere show of his film Pushpa 2. We have all that covered and a whole lot more. But first, the headlines. It's going to be the 10th day of the Parliament's winter session as the Congress versus the BJP showdown over disruption. After that grand oath-taking ceremony, well, now portfolio distribution is coming up next, and it is Devendra Fadnavis who went on to say that no more shocks are expected in the future like what we saw between 2019 till the middle of 2022, taking a direct jibe at the Mahavikas Aghadi. Transparent civil chorus in Parliament is what Karti Chidambaram has gone on to say, that there is no transparency in this call. And a woman that was killed